Honey, I'm actually looking for ordering in something. What would you like to have for dinner? Well, I don't know. What would you like? I'm asking you, what would you like? It doesn't matter. You choose. Did you see the biceps on that Mark guy? Which Mark guy? You know, the guy who stood at the bar. What are you trying to say? Well, nothing. I'm just trying to say that those guns looked insane. Honey, I love you. You live your life, you enjoy your summer vacations, you collect toys, you play with your grandparents. Your birthday parties comprise a lot of balloons and shimmering decorations. And BAM! You have entered the era of insecurities, body mutations, and a huge emotional roller coaster. Welcome to the teenage years. For many, from now on, that tickling sensation of being in the presence of that attractive counterpart overtakes the mind. Thoughts are circling and getting into a romantic relationship with that one person is the only thing a brain can think of. Romance becomes a hot topic and everyone pairs with everyone. Even those who doesn't feel the necessity to getting involved with someone else become pressured from the peers to get a brand new significant other. Not a good idea. Yet we go through this and become burned when the first love crashes without even knowing why. It's not a good idea because this era is very tumultuous and sensitive. To make it easier, the impressionable teenagers should lessen the stress of such commitments, especially losing the one. The funny thing is, people can grow up, go through several relationships and still have no clue on how to behave in a relationship, how to handle it. It's like a broken cassette, keeps rewinding the same music over and over again. We have already heard that song at least 7 times. You should try to change it to something else. I see it all the time. The common theme is, of course, to blame on others, blaming on somebody else. No lessons learned, no knowledge acquired. So why not prevent the typical relationship disasters proactively? Prevent the pain before it happens. Well, hey, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? I made a list on things that you shouldn't do in a relationship. So let's go through it and dissect why we should avoid these. First of all, rule number 1. Don't become the relationship. Never lose your sense of self and understand that you are going into a relationship not to complete someone, nor should you wish for someone else to complete you. This cheesiness of 1 + 1 becoming 1 is totally misguided and shouldn't be taken seriously. You are 2, or maybe several, adults who enter the state of sharing your completeness and happiness with someone else. Life should be adventurous and relationships should be fun. Losing autonomy will only backlash and bite you in the behind if the relationship goes on a vacation, if the relationship goes sideways. All that emotional investment will blow up in your face and you will lose your identification. Trauma is guaranteed. The second thing you shouldn't do is become complacent. This one is very common and especially dudes seem to have problem with that. We all have heard stories of I got bored when a person gets dumped without even knowing why. Not putting your best foot forward as often as possible is a recipe for disaster. You were so intoxicated, madly in love, and even had a shaky voice. Now that you got each other, you think that pursuit is over. No extra effort needed. At first, it's not big of a deal, but when the infatuation wears off, you start to ponder. We watched Game of Thrones on a sofa, eating chips with dipping sauce last Friday. How come we never go out and do stuff? Baby, I'm tired. It was a long day. It sleeps once, it sleeps twice. Mistakes stack up. Pajama bottoms, no makeup, sitting on a sofa and not being spontaneous. Next thing you know, Never try to change your significant other. That's very rude and shows that you don't care for their personality. It's not the point to find someone to get into a relationship with, just so that you can mold them into something of your liking, like a clay figurine. If you have an urge or wish to change your partner, you have to ask yourself, am I really into that person? Why are we together? And what qualities did attract me to that person? Establish a base on why you seem to like your partner. Maybe you were driven by ulterior motives, or maybe deep down you think that you deserve better. And what is better in that case? Be always honest with yourself and your wishes. Be kind and don't string the person along if there's no real connection between you. Don't argue. Let me explain. The mainstream understanding is that relationships have ups and downs, which is true by the way, and people can get hot-headed, fight with each other one moment to kiss and reconcile the other. It's normal and there's nothing weird with that. Wrong. Arguments never solve any problems. Just think about it. Whenever you have been angry and tried to express it emotionally, calling names and pointing out the wrongdoings of the other person, did you ever really succeed in convincing someone? Convincing to your side, making them to change their minds and admit their faults. The only thing we accomplish is to become alienated and leave the argument with bad feelings, with hurt egos. No one wins, everyone loses. Better approach would be to sit down and talk calmly. Even if one of the parties is being emotional, try to calm him or her down by standing your ground in a very serene manner. Come to an agreement before going to bed. Leave the conversation for a moment if it's too intensive. Let the person come back to you when the emotional blast has dissipated. Infidelity. This one seems very obvious, yet many don't know the real reason why. Of course, you will hear the arguments like, you shouldn't hurt the person you love. It's a very immoral thing to lie to a person that you're in a relationship with. The real reason that you shouldn't cheat on someone is because you're disappointing your own self. It's a huge sign of lacking integrity. No life compass for making the right decisions in life. Infidelity showcases cowardice at its finest. You don't have a gut to tell how you really feel, i.e. discontent within a relationship. And you have to cheat and sneak around all the time, being afraid of your own shadow and looking over your shoulder constantly. Lying to yourself is practically living a lie, living in a limbo. When you don't have values by which you abide, there's no direction to march towards. Too scared to lose your partner, to be without, alone, too uncomfortable and unsatisfied with what you have together. If you're not capable of being faithful, don't jump into a relationship. With all that said, the most important relationship that you have to cultivate and strengthen is with your own self. Become your biggest admirer. Hossein out.